on.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jeroen Remmers, Director of the True Animal Protein Price Coalition. And this is a press conference we organized about the EU proposal for a possible agriculture emission trading scheme and the Danish CO2 tax on livestock. And a declaration that was signed yesterday by 27 countries on greenhouse gas emission pricing in OECD countries and China for the loss and damage fund. And I welcome also an EU Parliament member from the Christian Democrats, Ingeborg ter Laak. She's also from the Netherlands, just like me. So we will give the presentation, and maybe later some others will join, but I guess they're too late because it's quite early here. So let me first introduce this press conference. I hoped to have here Christian Hansen from Denmark. He was very involved in the Danish proposal that was adopted this week by the Danish Parliament on greenhouse gas emission pricing in the livestock sector. And I also hope to have here Iman Suleiman Ibrahim, a minister from Nigeria. But it was maybe not fully sure she could make it. So let me first introduce our own organization. We are based in Amsterdam, and we are a network organization of 75 partners across the globe with different backgrounds like farmer organizations, youth organizations, environmental groups, and food companies. And we advocate for a true price on different food products, including external costs and lower prices and taxes on healthy foods and foods with a low impact on the climate. So we found that these proposals have a majority support among consumers in European countries. So by switching the taxes on different food products, which makes some products cheaper and others more expensive, but in the same time the food prices overall stay the same. The problem is that at this moment food prices do not reflect all production costs. As you can see in the slide, what we pay in the market price when we go shopping, there are some costs not included, like environmental costs, which are external costs for others or people in the future who have to pay for the damage, for instance, caused by greenhouse gas emissions. But there are also social costs that could be that farmers are exploited, that they don't have a living wage. It could also be health costs, because when people eat different kinds of food products with a negative impact on health, then the health costs for societies increase, and people have to pay more and more for their health cost insurances, etc. So all those costs were now calculated by the FAO in a recent report, the State of Agriculture and Food, SOFA report. And this is a huge amount that is not paid when you buy food. It's including 10% of global GDP. And changes in food prices can reduce those external costs, which could benefit economies. So here you see what could happen if health costs and environmental costs would be included, for instance, in meat. So yes, prices would go up, but on the other hand, other costs in society would be reduced to repair the damage. And here you see the greenhouse gas emissions per kilogram from different food groups. And as you may already know, that beef has highest levels of greenhouse gas emissions compared to other food products like chicken meat, and especially the vegetarian and the vegan and the vegetable options and fruits, they have relative low emissions. So from a point of view of climate policies, it would be better if societies would make a shift towards more plant-based diets and flexitarian diets, so with less meat and dairy and more vegetables and fruits, which is also very beneficial for health, because we don't eat enough vegetables and fruits. And one remark on from the greenhouse gas emissions from the food system. 1/3 of all emissions are from food systems. So this is quite a lot, but not many climate policies are focused on agriculture and food. So most policies and also most climate finance is focused on the energy sector. But this is a huge missed opportunity, because there are so many options to reduce emissions in the agriculture and food sectors. And only 3% of all climate finance in the world is going to the agriculture sector and the food sector. So we want to increase these numbers in the future to have more, better results for the for our climate goals. As I told you, there was a report published 8th of November by the FAO, the UN Organization for Agriculture and Food. And there it was included that those external costs can be reduced if governments and companies would work on changing food prices. And I was surprised to see that FAO also mentioned, especially for the rich countries, to implement so zero fat rates on vegetables and fruits, but also higher tax levels on meat and dairy. Because in the past the FAO was known that they would not say such things, but this is a big difference compared to the past. And so here you can see some of the quotes from this report. So they said about fat rates that this could be changed in the future. So increased fat rates on meat and dairy, and on fruits and vegetables they should go down. And to tell about what the EU Parliament decided a few years ago, in 2021, there was also a majority vote for specifically this proposal. So we were happy that there was this large majority, and the Christian Democrats, Social Democrats, the Liberals, the Greens, they all voted in favor of this proposal. But the thing is that the EU member states and the ministers of finance have to implement it. So that's what we now are trying to do. And another report was made by the World Bank with similar recommendations compared to the FAO report. And later on, Ingeborg ter Laak will also give her comments on this report. In the World Bank report, it's called Recipe for a Livable Planet. There they urge the rich countries, but also the middle-income countries like China, Brazil, etc., to do what the FAO also recommended. So maybe this is a good time to give you the floor, Ingeborg, and tell your observations from the report and what you have seen so far here at COP, and what you were planning to do at EU level.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Jerome, for inviting me, but also thank you, TAPP, for organizing this press conference and emphasize the importance of fair taxing and fair food pricing for now and in the future. And as I told you in preparation of this conference, I have to be honest, I didn't really read the UN FAO report yet, but I read the World Bank report, and it's more or less in the same, aligned in the same line. And what it's saying is, if there's fair pricing for food, so inclusive fair income for farmers, for smaller farmers, and fair pricing for ecological footprints, then prices, yes, would go up for our dairy products and our meat products, but it will give us a lot of better health, and I think that's most important, and that's the main reason why politicians are here, to protect the health and the well-being of other human beings. That's why politicians are in place, that's why they're chosen, and that's the main goal, objective they have to deliver in the end. But it's also saying if you do so, we have less greenhouse gases, less emissions, up to 80%, that's what the World Bank report says, and we use less water, so about 50% less water. So if you look at it, it's only win-win-win. It's good for health, it's good for animals, it's good for our air, it's good for water. So if there's so many wins, why wouldn't we do it? And I think we should, and we should try to do so. But it is a major change of our lifestyle. It will include a totally different diet for most people in the world. That's not something which goes easy, and it's something we need everybody to get along. And in the first place, I think education or information, spreading the word and letting consumers, because it starts with what you buy in the supermarket, first of all. It helps if consumers are aware of what they're buying and what they're doing. And then second, I think farmers are our friends. Farmers are in contact with nature. They are the ones, and I am from the Netherlands, as is Mr. Remmers, and I speak to farmers lots of times. And farmers in the Netherlands, they can feel the climate change. They have huge periods of drought, and they don't know how to contain the water efficiently. They have these enormous hard rainfalls, so there's too much water all at once, and they don't know how to get rid of the water that quickly. So, and then we have siltification in the Netherlands. Netherlands is a delta, and the sea level is rising, so our water in the grounds is getting saltier and saltier, which means it's very difficult for us to harvest anything from the land. And we still want to eat our potato chips, isn't it, in the end? So farmers are the ones who are in contact on a daily basis with nature, and we need to, if we really want to have fair pricing for our food, we need to talk to our farmers. And I'm very positive about what is happening in Europe, because Ursula von der Leyen, the Commission, is starting this dialogue with everybody around the table. So it's the producers, it's the farmers, it's the traders, it's our shopping markets, the ones who sell it. And I think also consumers should be around the table to negotiate and to talk about this. How can we introduce this fair pricing? Because I'm very worried if you introduce fair pricing all at once and too quickly, it will also mean hunger for the ones who are already most vulnerable. And I think it's very important when you talk about prices of food to always keep in mind that right now, at this moment, about 1/3 of the world population doesn't have enough to eat on a daily basis. So that's a lot of people. So increasing food prices is difficult for the ones who are most in need. And I think it's very important to stress out that fair food pricing is one of the points which comes with the EU resolution on which we're here on the COP. So there is a willingness to do so, and I think it's important for FAO, for World Bank, for all these reports to get known with the Commission, because we have a new Commission in place since yesterday, and they will start officially on the 1st of December. And the Commissioner for the Green Deal and taxation, it's combined in one hand, is Wopke Hoekstra. So it's just one person you have to talk to. So please inform him about this plan so he can push it further and come with plans. And I expect the Commission to come with plans on this issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, I know that the EU Commission is really on this topic working, and we are also very glad with the strategic dialogue on the future of agriculture, where also some recommendations, like mentioned in the FAO report, were also adapted, which was also surprising because also the European farmers also signed this report. So So we have to change the policies, policies for the farmers, but also food policies, so that consumers will change their diet.
Information, education towards the ones who buy the food. Yes.
I fully agree. I think that was also included in the recommendations. And all the new EU commissioners have in their task description to implement the recommendations from the strategic dialogue. And one of the things also included in this strategic dialogue was the option for an agriculture emission trading scheme. So maybe it's a good moment to also give some time to this proposal. I think I have it here, a sheet. As you know, the EU started with an emission trading scheme, I think 15 years ago, for energy and industry sectors. So, and many other countries and regions in the world copied this system. And in 2027, also the transport sector and the housing sector will be included in the system. So this means the only sector not yet included in any form of greenhouse gas emission pricing in Europe is agriculture and food. And now we have a debate in Europe if agriculture and food should have climate standards, so legislation, or it should be pricing, or maybe a combination of both. So we have a lot of technical workshops and debates and impact studies now being done on if we would have an emission trading scheme for the agriculture and food, how would it look like? Who will be the actors to work on this? And the option that is most supported by stakeholders in Europe is that we call it the downstream ETS option. This is for slaughterhouses and dairy factories, which means that the greenhouse gas emissions from those sectors, for instance, when it would start in 2030, so every year their allowed emissions cap will be reduced, and the companies can trade between each other and buy and sell emissions. So the price of this emissions will rise by time towards 2040, which will enable a lot of companies to invest in options to reduce emissions because of this high price. And some companies, half of them, they can sell emissions because they are relatively clean, so they can earn money by being good. But others have to pay, and or when you want to grow, you have to pay allowances. And what is also needed, because if food imports would go to Europe without such pricing, it's unfair compared to the European farmers. So this is about the carbon border adjustment mechanism, a kind of import tax on meat and dairy. So this is the option now being discussed. It's not yet decided. I think next summer there will be more to say about it. But I think it's an interesting development. We, as TAPP Coalition, together with many other food companies represented in the EPF, for instance, and many NGOs across Europe, including environmental and nature organizations, support this option. But the COPA-COGECA farmer organization does not have yet a position because they want to know the impacts of all the options, and it should not have negative impacts, of course. We should do it in a good way that is good for all and doesn't harm biodiversity or animal welfare. So a lot of decisions still have to be made, but we make progress. Maybe you want to give a reply on that?
Yes. Yeah. Well, thank you. And yes, it's true. Europe is prepared to lead. Well, to put it better, I think Europe is leading if it comes to preventing climate change and mitigation of climate change and adapting to climate change. And we are also willing to step forward and lead by example. So this is one of the examples we're willing to step up to. But as climate change, it's not just solely a European issue, it's a global issue. So we need the rest of the world to step in and to broaden the base of countries and societies who really are willing to step in. And we also always keep in mind what will it do with economy, with agriculture, with our farmers, with our food security. Is it okay if I tell you something about this COP?
Yes.
Just to divert a little bit from this.
Yeah.
So from a European point of view, we're at this climate summit, and we're really trying to push things a step further ahead. And we're trying to put in place that this COP is about financing climate change. So we're trying to put these funds in place and also broaden the financial base. So we're asking other countries, please step in as well. Other economies, other large economies. The world has changed a lot the past 15 years since the Paris Agreement. And we're really asking other countries to step in as well and help us and work together on these climate issues. But the European Union is saying it does not go without climate mitigation. So there cannot only be finance for climate adaptation, but also for climate mitigation. So that's what we're working on, and I think we're making small steps forward, so we'll see where it ends at the end. I'm still very, very hopeful. And then this COP is also about gender action plan, and I think it's important to get that one approved as it is already. So I hope we'll succeed on that one as well.
Yes, thank you. Yes, finance for the loss and damage fund is really important here. Today we hope that there will be a number like $1 trillion per year or whatever. So let me go quickly to the Danish option. I see one question, so we will make sure that you can have your questions. So last week the Parliament decided to implement a greenhouse gas emission tax on livestock sectors starting in 2030, because they have to prepare the legislation for it. And the tax rate will increase in time. So in the beginning it will be a tax, effective tax for farmers like 16 euros per ton equivalent of CO2. And in 2035 it will be 40 euros per ton. And why did the farmers accept it? Because they also, on the other hand, were promised more than 5 billion euros to make a change. And to also, some different options are subsidized for them. And it's a really big historic decision that is made. And it's the first country in the world that decided to have this greenhouse gas emission taxes for the sector. They want to reduce their emissions 70% in 2030. So they needed to come with something. So 15% of the agricultural land will be transformed into forest and nature. Imagine that's a huge step. So it's a big plan, and it will change society. Maybe my last words is about this declaration. So yesterday, 27 countries here at COP signed a declaration that what FAO and World Bank said, greenhouse gas emission pricing in food systems is important. Rich countries and OECD countries and China should lead, like the EU is already showing. And part of the tax revenue, at least 20%, should be focused on the loss and damage fund. That's what they say. So 6 African countries and a small island, developing states. So it's led by Nigeria. The Minister of Environment is endorsed this proposal. Also Congo, Uganda, the Equatorial Guinea, Chad, Liberia, and all those small island states like Fiji, but also Papua New Guinea, etc. So in summary, a lot of actors now want high and middle income countries to start such policies. And the declaration says to transition away from animal protein overconsumption. Like last year at COP28, a decision was made to transition away from fossil fuels. So we hope that by the COP30 in Brazil, this sentence will be included. I don't expect it this year, but maybe next year in Brazil. And yeah, we want OECD countries and China to lead together. So this is the end of the presentation. So I saw one question, so please.
Hi, I'm Mads Livgren from the Danish Ministry of Finance. So I know that Christian Steenberg is very occupied with the NCQD checks that's just dropped this morning. So I thought he'd just sort of say hi and a few words. Just on this deal that was made, it's been a deal that's been 2-3 years in the making, really requiring a whole of government effort. So we've had deep cooperation with the Tax Ministry, Finance Ministry, Environment Ministry, Agricultural Ministry, working on the foundations of this. And I think if I had to highlight one thing, sort of looking really deeply at the economic effects is really, really needed, because often we don't have the capacity to really assess that. There's lots of energy modeling, there's lots of focus on that, but there's little on agriculture. So we developed a model, Green Reform, where we can basically do the greenhouse gas emissions from agriculture and the macroeconomic effects. And getting that out in the public sphere was sort of one of the main levers in terms of having a discussion on this. The second thing was we brought in the farmers and the environment organizations to work together on this. So I think we both have an analytical story and a political story that's worth telling, but also a technical story that's relevant for the EU. Because what we found at the beginning was, how do we even tax this? But what we did find is that we actually have the data on livestock in Denmark, and you have it for all European countries, because there are EU registers where everyone have to sort of register what types of cows they are and so on. So that means that actually it is possible to do this emissions trading on farm, and that's what the Danish government will be pushing, because you can say it might sound easier to do it on the dairy and meat factories, but administratively it'd be very, very difficult, and it won't give the right incentives at the farm level. So what we're trying here is that basically say we can actually do this, we can do it the way the ETS works, and that is a much more efficient and cost-efficient way of doing it. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Yeah, you can join the panel if you like, but time is a bit ticking. So maybe there's another question, or do you want to give a reply?
Yeah, I would like to react, because thank you very much, and thank you very much for Denmark for taking this example and also leading by example, because I think it's very important. As you said, it's not easy, it's complicated, it's doing it in a totally new, innovative way, and it also means, you know, new taxation. How are you going to implement this system? So it's good to see, and I hope that the rest of Europe can really learn from all the mistakes you made, because thank you for doing that.
Maybe there's another question in the room. If not, then maybe you can say some additional remarks on what you...
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for organizing this press conference and really stressing out the importance of fair pricing for food. But I keep on saying it, we cannot do it alone as politicians or as NGOs or as TAPP coalition. We only can do it together with our farmers, together with the consumers, and really in contact with nature organizations. So thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much, and thank you for your presence here. Have a good last day, final day tomorrow, and let's hope it will be a great success, this COP. Bye-bye.